Shalom. I'm going to entitle this video, E Burned Down the Temple, giving all praises to Yahweh Shemal Shai B'Shem Kwadash. I was just watching a video that the elder statesman of Chicago, Elder Malcolm, he was going into Edom. I was getting into it, and then it, caused me to go into some precepts. Anyway, I was reading through First Ezra. We always go on the second Ezra, but First Ezra, while there's a lot of history, when you read from the first chapter, second, third, fourth chapter, Cyrus the king, which he was a Elamite, a Persian. He said, I believe it was the third chapter, the second chapter. I was reading, like I said, I was just breezing through the first four chapters, and this proves when you go to Obadiah, it speaks about the punishment that Esau is going to receive for what they did to Judah. And what they did was they burnt down the temple. They helped they helped the Babylonians capture certain Israelites to kill them, but they were the ones that actually burned down the temple. And that's why when you go to the scriptures dealing with Edom, that's why they're going to pay the ultimate price. They're going to be utterly destroyed as a people. It's not going to be any remaining of the house of Esau. And this goes back to the struggle in Rebecca's womb. Now, when you look that word up, I may go into it. I might do it in another video. When you go into that word, the struggling in the womb, it was a UFC death match. You had two infants, fetuses, that had a UFC death match. They were trying to gouge each other's eyes out, punch in the head. They were really going at it. If you were to go in a time machine, let's say, and go back to the time of Rebecca and actually see Rebecca, you would see her body, her womb, her stomach, that area, rocking back and forth. She couldn't get no sleep. That's why she went and went to the Lord. Excuse me. And it was told to her by the Lord through the prophet, because it was the prophet that spoke to her. The Most High spoke to that prophet, and he broke it down because they didn't understand. Two nations are in thy shall be separated from thy bow. Two manner people, and it says two nations. So out of those two children, there will be two separate nations, the two opposing nations, and that's Israel, which is us. We're the people. Like they're trying to say, oh, you're not the people. You got Christians, you got black Negroes thinking that they're Israelites. Isn't that ridiculous? Well, we are those people, and we are those people based upon the fact that we say that we are. The fact that we're on the highways and the byways, the fact that we're putting up so many videos, the fact that there's so many Israelites out there, and there's still not enough Israelites. I always say there should be 1,000,001 camps out there in this country and around the world. You're supposed to be raising hell. All you guys that are playing and lollygagging and bullshitting, the Most High gonna make you take that charagma and you're gonna be put to death. The Most High gonna destroy you. All you guys are playing games. Look, My record speaks for itself. The beloved elder Malcolm, his record speaks for itself. Any of them brothers, Elder Yashawamba, Elder Manatazak, Elder Manatazak, Bishop Manatazak, there's Apostle Gabar, Apostle Rakar, and the list goes on and on. I can mention all kinds of names. I just gave you a few names. Just threw out a few names. You got the mighty brothers out there in the West Coast. You got the brothers down in Florida. You got the all over the country, man. But there's still not enough of you out there that's pushing this word. And when you do your videos, you're supposed to be teaching, man. Not telling your story. Oh, last week I went out with my girl. Here is the guy, Israelite. He talking, you know, he talking bullshit. Oh, I went to the gym today, or I went to the zoo with my kids. Most I don't want to hear about you taking your kids to the fucking zoo. Not saying that there's a video. Where's the video, brother? That the hardware. What brother took his kids to the zoo? I'm just saying that. I'm just saying you're doing everything besides teaching. Every time you make a video, and I'm not talking to Great Millstone, I'm not talking to GMS, because the few brothers that I mentioned and the rest of you that I didn't mention, you know who you are. You know who you are. Every time you make a video, it's always edifying. As Don Cornelius would say, how did he say it? A stone blast. Every video you make got to be a stone blast. If he said it that way, correct me if I'm wrong. Hey, like Soul Train. I'll be watching the Soul Train on BET. I'll be watching the Soul Train stories. And they would pick you. If you can dance, they put you in. If you couldn't dance, if you were off, they put you to the back. But I remember everybody got in the Soul Train. I'm just going into another subject. Before Soul Train, you had the American Bandstand, and you had them crackers dancing, looking all fucking retarded. And what knocked the American Bandstand out the box? It was this Soul Train, because of the entertainers and the dancers. And they were dancing their ass off. Anyway, that's the spirit that you got to be in with this truth. You on Soul Train, Don Cornelius is standing there, you dancing your ass off so you can stay in there, so you can stay on the show. So you can get them hair products and fried chicken, because that's how they paid them. They ain't giving money. So the way they dance their ass off, you know, that's how you got to dance with these scriptures. You got to dance with these scriptures, baby. No, you're cracking up. But you got to be on fire. When you do a video, you got to give it. Hey, the scriptures speak about being on fire and being lukewarm, being hot or cold. But because you are lukewarm, the Most High said, I'm gonna spew you out of my mouth. A lot of guys fell off because they were lukewarm. You know. Anyway, let's get back into the subject. Please forgive me for that rant. Anyway, Esau doesn't want to admit that we're the Israelites. Neither does he want to admit that he's the Edomites. That's why you have this guy, this clown, Vocab Malone, who all the Edomites are done away with. That's so convenient for an Edomite. No, Esau is still here. Because if Esau was that insignificant, he wouldn't be mentioned all throughout the scriptures. Anyway, let me see. Let's go right to it. You see it right on the screen. This is First Ezra chapter 4. But you got to get into the good reading, a lot of history. Matter of fact, most High willing, we're going to listen to the whole history. We're going to go through, in other words, go on our way down to the camp. We're going to listen to First Ezra, chapters 1, and we're going to kind of go through the whole First Ezra chapter 1, and then we're going to go to Second Ezra chapter 1 on down. First Ezra 1 to the very last chapter. Second Ezra chapter 1 to the very last chapter, because that's part of the history, and inside of the history there's also prophecies and there's also lessons. Anyway, it was Edom, the Edomites, that burned down the temple. Let me just open up, bear me for a minute. I'm going to bring this over here. Let me go to Obadiah. Yeah, Obadiah 1 verse 21, and Savior shall come up on Mount Zion to judge the mount of Edom, Esau, and the kingdom shall be the Lord's. And that Mount of Esau is talking about the land, because we're going to take that land. Okay, let me go to the 10th. You can really read the whole chapter, but Obadiah 1 verse 10. For thy violence against thy brother Jacob, shame shall cover thee, and thou shalt be cut off forever. On the day that thou stoodest on the other side, in the day that the strangers, which are the Babylonians, carried away captives his forces, meaning took your gold, your silver, and foreigners, which are the Babylonians, entered into his gates and cast lots upon Jerusalem. Even thou was one of them. Even thou was one of them is talking about Esau. You were taking stuff too, and you ultimately burned down the temple. This thing is coming to a head. And as I said many a times, before the destruction comes, the MOTB has to come into play. That prophecy has to come to pass. 12 verse, but thou shouldst not have looked on the day of thy brother and the day, and you did that before the king of Edom, when Moses humbly addressed the king of Edom, when they were coming out of the wilderness, they said, can we drink water, we'll pay for it. If we go over the king's highway, we'll pay a toll. If we messed up anything, if we destroyed anything, we will pay for it. And the king of Edom said no. So that hatred was always there. So don't come with your fucking bullshit scripture about love thy neighbor, because you ain't our neighbors. And what does it say in Romans, what is that, 13 and 10? Matter of fact, I'm going to go to it. Romans 13. And you other camps out there that's not teaching about the MOTB, what it is, pursuant to Revelation 13, you're gonna be put out there, man, and you're gonna have to answer to your followers, because they're gonna bug the hell out. You got this one clown Ithun, he's a tall brother, the tallest brother in IUIC. He knows that the mark of the beast is the MOTB is what it is, and he has told me. But he stays around. You know, the scriptures speak about being a part of a multitude to do wickedness. Somebody can put that in there. That's in, I believe that's Exodus 23, if I'm not mistaken. Follow not a multitude to do evil. And that's what he's doing, man. He's hiding that talent. He put it in a napkin and he hid it, put it in his back pocket, buried it. And this is not a game. This is not a game. This is not a game. This is serious business. This is not a game. This is nothing to play with, man. Here you know something in the scriptures and you keep your mouth shut and you don't want to say nothing. And that's a major prophecy. That's a major prophecy. And we're living in the time of the prophet. It ain't gonna come no 20 years from now. Like I said, when they push the MOTB, you're gonna have a lot of Israelites bugging the hell out. And a lot of you clowns and fools are gonna take it. Because your teachers are not telling you not to take it. They're not explaining it to you. Okay, Romans 13, verse 10, love worketh no ill to his neighbor, therefore love is the fulfillment of the law. So have you worked love towards us? No, you haven't. You put us in captivity. You did everything opposite of love. But then you're gonna say, well, it's true to say love thy neighbor. We're your neighbors. No, you're not. Our neighbors are Israelites. You know, most of us live in the hood next to other Israelites. And then you Edomites live in your gated communities, man. The fuck you fooling. You red nigga. Anyway, let's come back over here. Where do we leave off at? Okay, 10 verse again. For thy violence against thy brother Jacob, shame shall cover thee, and thou shalt be cut off forever. And the cut off forever part is the 18th verse. And the house of Jacob shall be a fire, and the house of Joseph shall be a flame. Joseph represents interchangeable with with the tribe Ephraim. That's in Revelation, the 7th chapter. It says Jacob represents the whole of Israel, but it also represents the kingdom of Judah. So this is talking about the two kingdoms coming back together. So there's no time in history where the two kingdoms came back together, because the northern kingdom was on the other side of the world. And the house of Esau for stubble. So this has not happened. And don't bring me that what is that? Either Second Maccabees 5 or I believe it's Second Maccabees 5, where it speaks about Judas Maccabees and them, you know, burnt Edomites. Well, that was the kingdom of Judah. That was Judah, Benjamin, and Levi. You know what? Let's prove that real quick. Okay, how did that come up? Duck, go. Okay, here we go. Damn. Okay, I believe that's Second Maccabees 5. And now you got Christians using that. This is the proof that the Edomites were done away with. So there's no such thing as Edomites. So you can get out of your your judgment. Okay, bear with me for a minute. Hell, it might be in First Maccabees 5. Okay, let's try First Maccabees 5. Let's see what happens. And forgive me for that. Let's see what First Maccabees 5 says. Okay, I believe I got it. Okay, here it goes. First Maccabees 5. That in verse 3. Then Judah fought against the children of Esau in Idumea, which is Mount Seir, Petra. Here comes some, as you can see, this is from, what is that, Odyssey. Everybody should have an Odyssey account in GMS. You know, you put your super controversial videos up in there, and they don't take them down as of yet. It says, the third verse, First Maccabees 5, verse 3, then Judah fought against the children of Esau in Idumea at Arabataim, because they besieged Gael, and he gave them a great overthrow and abated their courage and took their spoils. You know, when you take down a nation, you take their spoils, and part of their spoils are their women. And what do you do with their women? As Anna would say, you know, what is best in life? To take down your enemy, to see them driven before you, and to hear the lamentation of their women. And the lamentation is going to come when you get them. They're going to cry. The law, Deuteronomy, what is that? Deuteronomy 21, verse 10. Around there, you take the woman, you shave her head, you take her clothes of a captivity off of her, and then you let her mourn for 30 days, and then you go in unto her, and she become your wife. That's of the other nations. And wife merely means woman. Ayash means man, and Ayasha means woman, which when you go to the scriptures, it says anywhere it says wife in the Old Testament, the word there is Ayasha, which means woman, dealing with a woman. But you're not going to have a ceremonial thing like you have with your Israelite woman. They're going to be on different levels in the kingdom as well. Also, he remembered the injury of the children of Bein, who had been a snare and an offense unto the people, and that they lay in wait for them in the ways. He shut them up, therefore, in the towers. And he represented Israel, led by Maccabees, but it represents Israel, and encamped against them, the Edomites, and destroyed them utterly, and burned the towers of that place with fire and all that were therein. Anybody that was in the towers, they got burnt up. So the Maccabees, Judah's Maccabees, then the Israelites that fought by his side, they didn't have no mercy, but they had utter hatred for the Edomites, just like the Edomites have utter hatred for us. Afterward, he passed over the children of Ammon, where he found a mighty power and much people with Timotheus, their captain. So he fought many battles with them till at length they were discomfited before him, and he smote them, meaning he killed them. He's killing the nations. We jump down to the 10th verse. And sent letters unto Judas and his brothers, the heathen that are round about us are assembled together against us to destroy us. And they are preparing to come and take the fortress whereunto we are fled, Timotheus being captain of their host. '15 verse. And said they of Ptolemaeus, now that's going back to the Ptolemaeus dynasty, and of Tyrus and Sidon and all Galilee of the Gentiles are assembled together against us to consume us. So you got the point. So we're back over here. Second, where we at? First Ezra chapter 4, verse 43 to 46. Then said he unto the king, remember thy vow, which thou hast vowed to build Jerusalem in the day when thou camest to thy kingdom. This is talking about Cyrus. 44th verse. And to send away all the vessels that were taken away out of Jerusalem, which Cyrus, the king, and Cyrus made a statement. He said, the Lord of Israel raised me up to be a king. So guess what? The Most High was dealing with Cyrus. And Cyrus did a great work inside joke. When he vowed to destroy Babylon, let me read that again, 44, and to send away all the vessels that were taken away out of Jerusalem by the Babylonians and the Edomites, which Cyrus set apart when he vowed to destroy Babylon and to send them again thither. Thou also hast, and by the way, when the Medo-Persian Empire came into power, they set up Daniel, the prophet, as a president. And the three Hebrew boys, as they call them, their Babylonians' names were Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. They had actual Hebrew names, but they gave them damn slave names, right? They became presidents as well. So a president is a low office. It's not the office of a king. A president, even today, a president takes orders from the king, which is behind the scenes, man. You know goddamn well this guy Biden ain't running a motherfucking thing, but his mouth mumbling all the goddamn time. Anyway, 45th verse. Thou also hast vowed to build up the temple, which the Edomites burned when Judea was made desolate by the Chaldeans. So the Chaldeans took things from the temple. The Edomites were taking things from the temple as well. They did the same thing back in 70 AD during the reign of Vespasian and Titus. So those were Edomites doing it again. The abomination that maketh desolate. So the Most High is calling these Edomites an abomination. 45th verse again. Thou also has vowed to build up the temple which the Edomites burned when Judea was made desolate by the Chaldeans. And now, 46th verse, O Lord the King, this is that which I require and which I desire of thee. And this is the princely liberality. So he's liable, you know, it's his responsibility. Proceed from thyself. I desire, therefore, that thou make good the vow, because it was Cyrus that made the vow. So he had to keep to the vow. And after he died, it was during the reign of Xerxes that they had to read the letters. Is this true? And they read the letters and they said, yep, he did say it. So we got to give these Israelites the money to build a temple. So the Most High was using the nations. I desire, therefore, that thou make good the vow, the promise whereof with thine own mouth hast thou vowed to the King of heaven. So it was Cyrus that made that vow. Let me read some more. The 47th verse. Then Darius, the king, stood up and kissed him and wrote letters for him unto all the treasurers and lieutenants and captains and governors, because you had governors back then, you had presidents back then, that they should safely convey on their way, both him and all those that go up with him to build Jerusalem. Let me jump down to the 49th verse. Moreover, he wrote for all the Jews, the Israelites, which represent Judah, Benjamin, Levi. That's why the captain in the book of Acts called, when he spoke to Paul, he said, art thou, how canst thou speak Greek? And Paul said, I'm a Jew. Really, Paul was a Benjaminite, but they didn't understand Benjamin, Levi. They didn't understand the tribes. They just called them Judeans. It says 49th verse. Moreover, he wrote for all the Jews that went out of his realm up into the Jewry concerning their freedom, that no officer, no ruler, no lieutenant, nor treasurer should forcibly enter into their doors. So we receive favor from the heathens. And because when a nation takes you over, they can bust your door down, they can take your daughters, they can put your sons into slavery. It's a 50th verse. And that all the country which they hold should be free without tribute. And that's the same thing that Alexander did. When Alexander came into power, he was kissing Israel's ass because he saw the vision of the high priest. And King Alexander, or Alexander the Greek, or the Great, he said, you Israelites, you don't got to pay tribute. You can do whatever the hell you want. And he was also learning the scriptures because he was able to read Hebrew. And who was his teacher? His main teacher was not Socrates, I believe it was Aristotle. You can go into history on that. I did a video on that a couple of years back. And that proves if he knew how to speak Hebrew, who was his teacher? Aristotle. So Aristotle had to be an Israelite. Socrates had to be an Israelite. The 7 sages had to be Israelites. The man that wrote the story or the play, what is it? There was a movie out with Brad Pitt. What the hell is it? He played Achilles. But what was the name of the damn movie? I forget the name of the movie. Troy. Troy was the name of the movie. Well, that was a story. That never happened. That was a made-up story by one of the seven sages that goes by the name of Homer. And Homer had a big nose. You know, Jake's, you got certain Jake with big ass noses, big pickle noses, biscuit noses, or whatever you call it. He was the one that wrote that story. Because just like you watch the superheroes and the X-Men and all that, well, these are just stories. Well, they had the same thing back there. And they always said there's a great Greek, which Jake came up with the whole, he was the one that came up with the whole Hellenistic philosophy. That's why Jake's wanted to be Greek so bad. It says, 50th verse, and that all the country which they hold should be free without tribute, and that the Edomites should give over the villages of the Jews which then they held. So these motherfucking devils, they kicked us out and they said, let's go in the land of Israel. Let's go to Palestine. And they're doing that same goddamn thing today, man. History repeats itself. They did it back then and they're doing it now. That's why they're going to get blasted the hell out of that land. Thus saith Yahweh by Shem Yahweh Shai by Shem Kakodash. Let me read a little bit more. Yeah, 51st verse. Yeah, that there should be yearly given 20 talents to the building of the temple until the time that it were built or was built. And often 10 talents yearly to maintain the burnt offerings upon the altar every day, as they had a commandment to offer 17. Let's read a little bit more. 53rd verse. And that all they that went from Babylon to build the city should have free liberty, as well as their posterity, and all the priests that went away. He wrote also concerning the charges and the priests, the vestments wherein they ministered, and likely for the charges of the Levites to be given them until the day that the house was finished and Jerusalem built up. And he commanded to give to all that kept the city pensions. Oh, where did the pensions come from? The ancient world. What's a pension? When you retire, you kept getting paid. And wages. Everything that you see happening now in your experiences of life, it all came from the ancient world. So, there you have it, man. That's part of that history. Let me come back over here. Bear with me, my mind has gone a blank. Oh, let me go right here, real quick. My mind has gone a blank. Anyway, let's go to Romans 9. This is up. Let me just go to this real quick and I'll close it. All right, this right here is a precept, is a chapter that we read. I'm not going to go through it, but this right here, when you come across a Christian and you talk about that the Lord came for them, this is the precept that you go to. You read this whole chapter. anyway, with that, I'm gonna say shalom.